Here's my little Dio bike shop. I've got my bikes all cleaned up, my little racing Dio. I have my little gyro right here. And I have my other favorite bike I haven't ridden this year, which is a 2010 600R Honda racing bike. I just love the color on it. What this video series is going to be about is I'm going to start adding some parts to my Dio, and I'm trying to figure out how to work this camera with one hand because it's really big. And the other one I could use the camera very easily. This one, it's hard for me to do one-handed, so I've got to practice on it. This little bike here has a 30mm, I see what kind of SudCo carb on it, and it has a CT intake. The project we're going to do now is I've got a bigger carburetor and a bigger intake. This would kind of give you an idea. This is the carburetor that I'm going to put on. It's a SudCo, I believe it's a 32mm. It's huge. That's the back side of it. To give you an idea, it's 2¼ inches across. I don't know how many millimeters that is. But if you look at the standard 28, which is right next to it, and this is a Mikuni race carb here, it is about 1¾ inches across. So we have a bigger carb with the Mikuni, with the SudCo. It's PWK. This is a real one. It's not a copy. I don't buy copies. But I heard a long time ago that if you put these big carburetors on, they'll make the little bikes work better. In order for the bigger carburetor to fit on the little bike right here, you're going to have the larger carburetor. You're going to have the larger intake, which this is the intake right here. It's a TAIDA big valve 40mm intake. You can see the one I have on it right now. You can see the difference in size we have a smaller intake for the 28 or 30mm. This will be for the 32mm. And then of course this is called the reed cage. This is called the reed valve. This reed valve is for the larger carburetor. The smaller one right here is the one that I'm running right now. You can tell the difference in size. I can try and get a measurement on that. Now I've heard all kinds of good things how this larger TAIDA right here, this one and this one, they'll do wonders for speed and power and everything. I'm not convinced on that for a couple reasons. According to my two-stroke performance tuning, if you want to learn about racing bikes and how they work, everything about them, these are two very good books. This one was $55 10 years ago. This one you cannot buy in book form, I don't think anymore, because it was put out in 1972. This cost me $100, but it's well worth. And this one's by Gordon Jennings. This other one is from A. Graham Bell. Along with larger carburetor and the reed valve cage, you're going to need a larger intake that fits on the end of the carb. For instance, this is a large intake, and I'll show you an example. that fits right here, it will fit on the carburetor right here. And it's a lot larger body, but the inside is not any larger. I mean, the diameter of the intake is not larger, and it should be. Just the body is larger. So what I've done is I've had to go out and buy these rubber spigots that fit on the large carb. These are about $25 if you can find one. They're hard to find because you've got to find one that will fit on your reed intake cage. And you can see where I've had to hollow out parts of the hole here so that I have a better breathability, as I can say, because we've got everything going into the reed valve cage. This is the cage. And all of this is connected to the carburetor through this piece, but we only have this much surface area going into this much surface area. So it's kind of like a bottleneck. Actually, it goes like this. And I don't know if it's going to work, how well it'll work. It'll kind of look like this when it's done. So the first thing I have to do, since I got all my bikes cleaned up, which is nice, I feel better, I haven't been feeling good for a few months, is I have to take the seat off, I have to take the plastics off, I have to take all the carburetors, or the carburetor off, and check everything. And if you're going to do this, one thing you want to do is tighten up all your bolts if you haven't ridden for a while. And when you go riding, look underneath the bike and see if there's any leaks. Sometimes they're not there, but sometimes they are. And I'm trying to get this $1,500 camera to work. I finally got it to work because on my new computer, the memory to upload from this camera, you have to buy it from Microsoft. They only give you so much. So if you go over the gigs, the video won't upload. So right now I'm going to take apart the bike and we'll go through and discuss how it's going to work. I've had these parts maybe 2 years, just haven't got around to put them in. Okay.